Hi, we're back again, and this time we're looking at shift number 19, which is called Let a Little Be Enough. This time I'm actually going to do a little experiment with you in that I haven't thought through how I want to say all of this, so I'm letting you in on sort of how I think as I go, almost as though we're doing a private session. This particular skill, I think, is one of the most important skills when we're learning to navigate the world using right brain awareness. And I want to explain why. Oftentimes in life, we are in a situation where we would like something to be different, right? We would like more of something, more money, more health, more pleasant interactions, more whatever. Or we want less of something, less pain, less strife, less stress, whatever. So we're looking for something to change. And when something changes a little bit, our left brain and our right brain do two very different things. And when we lean into a right brain way of responding to a small change, we can leverage that small change in an enormous way that far exceeds anything that our left brain typically allows us to do. So that's what this is about. So for example, let's use the example that you want more money. Pretty common. And you have maybe a general idea of how much you would like to have. Maybe you don't. And let's say that you receive a small amount of money, $30 or whatever. What your left brain does, let me draw you a little picture. Let's say that you're starting here with this amount of money. And you want to end up here with this amount of money. And so the money that you receive represents just a tiny little amount in comparison to where you want to be. And this is what our left brains are designed to do. They're designed to take measurements based on facts. So as you sit in a situation where this is the outcome you want, and you move this much closer, to your left brain, there's not very much movement there. And so the thinking that your left brain has is, well, that's good, but it's not enough. And so when we apply the concept from quantum physics of superpositions, which are superpositions are states of being, which are described actually as different universes, separated just by a millimeter or even less in your in this moment, right where you are. And superpositions. So from a left brain perspective, receiving a little bit of money doesn't allow you to make much of a movement into the superposition or universe that you ultimately want to be in, which is characterized by a lot of money or health or whatever it is. I'm just using an example of money. And so that little bit of money doesn't take you very far from a left brain perspective towards your goal. You get maybe just a little bit of movement, but basically you end up right back to where you were, maybe a little bit forward. And typically we do not in life make a leap from one spot and immediately into where we want to be in one leap. Usually it's fairly incremental, right? So from our left brain perspective, this is kind of anxiety provoking, this journey a little bit, because it's still a question mark of whether I'm going to get here. Your right brain, on the other hand, can have a very different perspective of that journey. And we want to leverage that. So let's say you start off and you have, that's a dollar sign, by the way, a little amount of money. And your right brain reads these situations vibrationally. So, and the way that it reads, and the way that you access that vibrational reading, that assessment of where you stand on this topic, or which universe or superposition you exist in, quantum physics wise, is by how you feel. So when you think about being in a situation where you have a little bit of money, typically that would feel one way. And when you anticipate being in a situation where you have all the money you want, that would feel a different way. So to the left brain, this measurement is based on facts. And to the right brain, those situations are measured most directly in your experience by feelings. Feelings, as we're learning, are much more malleable, shapeable, changeable, influenceable than facts are. Energy is much more responsive in the moment than matter or particles are. So a way to use right brain perspective in a situation where you want to go from here to here and something happens that takes you here or anywhere, even just a little bit, is to use some of the principles that we've talked about already. So let's go over what some of those are. So from a right brain perspective, let's say you receive a small amount of money, $30. Your left brain, like I said, will measure that one way. The way that your right brain can measure that is to magnify it. Because as we talked about in a really recent shift, we are magnifying glasses. That is what we are. Our consciousness, we're focused into a particular moment in time, into a particular experience, into a particular scenario. And where we put our focus magnifies it. And when we understand that our right brains maneuver between superpositions based on how they feel, we can take advantage of that here and pull all of that together. So let's say you receive $30 and your instinct is for your left brain to go, well, that's good, but not enough. So the feeling state isn't much different than it was before you received it. But what you can do from your right brain is you've received that money. And within that receiving of that money contains the full vibrational state, the full vibrational experience of receiving more money. So you can actually make this match that by how you feel. And then through an amazing process that again uses quantum physics and the downward causation model, what you focus on appreciates and you get more of it. Just for a reminder of that point of view, consciousness is the ground of all being. It exists behind, beyond, before, and after everything else. Consciousness comes into as in its least dense expression as vibration, as fluctuations in the quantum field. Vibration, when it comes into contact with the human mind, where thoughts occur, and the human emotional body where emotions occur, that vibration is expressed more fully into particular thoughts and feelings. This is the downward causation model of how things come into being. First, they come from pure consciousness, the field of pure awareness, where hopefully by now you've had some chance to linger, which just feels like space and awareness. And into that space comes vibration, which gets translated in your experience as thought, emotion, and then gets densified even further into physicality, which is the physicality of your body and also what appears to be the world around you, but from a quantum physics level is not separate from you. So you can actually just find a particular vibration and magnify that so that all expands and densifies into physical form. This is such a different way of thinking than we were all taught from our predominant focus on left brain awareness. So, to follow this a little bit further, consciousness, you have the intention to physicalize a certain amount of money. Having that amount of money, if you can imagine it actually showing up in your bank account or wherever, would have a certain feeling. When you get a small amount of money, you can actually use it to find that feeling, that underlying feeling of, I've just received money. I have this money that I didn't have before. And you can amplify it. You can magnify it. And you start by doing that, or you can start by doing that by noticing, just appreciating it. We talked about this before. Really taking time to savor. It happened. I got this here. I'm holding it. It's actually in physical form or in some form. It's easy to talk about money as though it's in physical form. Other things like, say, freedom from pain for a moment. Let's say you have a lot of pain and what you want is to not have pain. So if you have a moment where your level of pain is really toned down, you can use the same process on that. You can really take that moment and savor it, really appreciate the experience that it is in this moment and flesh that out. Let that become more vivid to you. And you do that by noticing the quality of it. That area feels so good, where normally it feels painful. Or in a relationship, if there's usually discord and you have a moment where that's not there, really taking that small moment and using your focus to notice it. Here it is. Maybe it's in seed form. Maybe it's just a small bit. But what this does is you can actually use this amount, this small amount, to fully access the state of this amount. So you can use, because it's the same vibration, it's the same feeling, or it can be. So you can use your moment of being pain-free or having lost a pound, if it's about weight for you, or anything that it is. It will come in small increments. And the more that you can really acknowledge and appreciate that brief moment of a realization of the bigger thing you want, the more vivid you make it in your experience in the moment, the more it becomes. You can find then that, again, from this model, the vibration has more substance. You start to have more thoughts about, oh yes, it's nice, I like this feeling. Your left brain will try and discount it. with reasonable other thoughts that counter it. But you can swat that aside and really try and allow that feeling state of appreciating this small change, this small movement forward, and letting that amplify and swell and magnify. Oftentimes when I do this, I'll speak my thoughts out loud, because because words put thoughts into more substance, okay? It makes it more real. You hear it through your ears, it vibrates through your vocal cords, and it amplifies this. So I might say something like, oh, it feels so nice to receive this small amount of money. It's right here. This is what I'm looking for. And there it is, right there. And in that appreciation is the shift to this superposition, this state of being that is characterized by having what you want. And in that level of appreciation, there's no gap for that time, for the time being, between where you are and where you want to be, because you, through right brain awareness, have taken yourself to this state. And the amazing thing about learning to gain control over the state of being that you occupy, to be able to do that consciously by choice and by focus and by intention, gosh, I forgot how I started that sentence, but the way I want to end it is that then through the laws of physics, that amplifies and expresses and densifies into experiences that come back and reflect that to you. So that act of appreciating and noticing and enjoying and relishing the presence in whatever small ways or seemingly small ways you have of the thing that you want, the more substance you add to that, and the more you will have to notice of other times that that's happened. And there'll be this magnification of thoughts you have about it, and the motion magnifies. And then, because the outside world is really just a magnification of your consciousness, it's like you're walking around inside yourself. To your left brain, it's all out there and independent of you, but the underlying truth is it's all a physicalization of your consciousness. And so as you make this shift, this is where magic happens. This is where suddenly, through synchronicity, things show up. Because this state of being, and having gotten there, it doesn't matter if you used a small reason to get there or any other reason. Being in this state, the state is the only thing that matters. From a quantum physics point of view, the state of consciousness is then densified into form. This, like I said, is so different than the way that we're taught, and most of us have quite a dance for quite a while between left brain, right brain. Is this crazy? But the more, you only really have to have one experience of seeing this work and noticing it work, having made a shift in your state of being on a particular subject, and then noticing something spontaneously happening that matches that change in shift, that change in feeling state or state of being, shows that you've moved yourself to a different superposition, a different universe on that subject. But there's a learning curve. So I'm going to stop there. Oh, yeah, I'll save it for another day. Story I wanted to tell you about a client of mine and how we use this. So shift number 19, let a little be enough. One of the most important skills of focus that I think we can all learn. Bye for now.